The impoverished girl I sponsored pressured me to hand over my master's quota. When I refused, she took her pregnancy test results to the school. In front of everyone, she shouted Nathan trapped and forced me under the fake sponsorship excuse, made me abort, swore to leak my nudes and hurt my parents. She wailed while climbing the ledge. My brother then betrayed me to back her up, my bad for being a loser who couldn't protect my woman. Chloe, you jump, I jump. They clung to each other in love, but I got kicked out of school and thrown out by my parents. Just as I got the evidence to clear my name, a truck ran over me. I died with a grudge. After my death, Chloe sobbed on camera, the demon died too easy, but my scars will stay forever. Even my grave got dug up by angry netizens. When I opened my eyes, I saw Chloe begging me to bring her to the city. I laughed. What's with the tears now? You've got your whole life ahead of you, plenty more crying to come. The moment Chloe stepped into my house, the gears of fate started turning once more. I sat on the couch, staring at the cowering girl, suddenly aware I'd been reborn. Hello, Aunt and Uncle, hi brothers, thanks for letting me stay. She gazed at me timidly, her eyes brimming with tears. If you don't want me here, I can leave anytime. Don't you? Before I could react, the German shepherd at my feet suddenly sprang up and charged at Chloe, barking his head off. Weighing 25 kilos, he looked fierce when provoked, scaring Chloe right away. She kept ducking behind my brother Kevin, tears streaming down her face. I'm sorry, brother. I didn't come to wreck this family, I want to be part of it. If you don't want me here, I'll leave now. Just don't set the dog on me, boo-hoo. Hearing her phony voice, I sneered to myself. Chloe is a poor student our family supported. Her grades were pretty decent, and teachers from the county wrote to my parents hoping she could come to the city for a better education. Seeing the teacher's heartfelt letter, my parents couldn't say no. After thinking it through, they took Chloe in and told me to look out for her. In my past life, I gave her all the help I could, but she still wanted more. She not only falsely accused me of rape and snatched my grad school spot, but also tried to take my place. I lost everything. After finally getting the proof to clear my name, I found out she and Kevin had set me up. They teamed up and killed me. That truck ran me over alive. I was in agony, with nowhere to turn, and ended up a crushed meat patty. Only after I died did I find out the German shepherd didn't just wander off, she'd straight up murdered him. But I was blind and stupid, actually bought into her bullshit and never even avenged the German shepherd. I held back the hatred in my eyes and patted the German shepherd's head. Good training, the German shepherd. Stay sharp, boy. Turns out the money wasn't wasted after all, the German shepherd's a solid bodyguard. My parents nodded along. Chloe, don't worry. It's probably just that your vibe doesn't fit in here and he's not used to you yet. He'll get familiar after some time. Yeah, Chloe's country look didn't blend with the family at all. She bit her lip, tears in her eyes but too scared to argue. Big brother, do you hate me that much? The German shepherd only listens to you. If you hadn't told him to. She hesitated, tears streaming silently, on the verge of sobbing, when I snatched the mop beside me and shoved it in her face. Cry. You come into my house and start wailing, crying away all the family's good fortune. Nathan, you're going too far. Kevin started criticizing me as he looked at Chloe, who was crying like a hair blossom in the rain. But when he smelled the mop smell on her face, he almost fainted. There was also a bit more disgust in his eyes seeing this. Chloe looked at me with a hint of hatred, but I didn't care. I quickly apologized with a smile. Sorry, I can't stand seeing girls cry. Since I was a child, I tend to get impulsive when they do. Next time, I'll watch it. With that, I led the German shepherd upstairs. That evening, Kevin came barging in with Chloe to stir up trouble, demanding I swap rooms with her. Well, since my room was right next to Kevin's, it was easy for them to scheme things up. Since they came knocking, I might as well play along. Fine, I'll move out tomorrow, count this as today's apology to Chloe. Kevin looked briefly thrown off by how easy I was being, but he quickly covered it up. The next day, word of my room switch spread like wildfire. Coincidentally, some guests came over, and everyone knew the sponsored poor student was too delicate for the guest room, so I gave her my room instead. The guest chuckled slyly, if you know, she's a poor student, if not, you'd swear she's some pampered princess. My parents' faces tightened, and I jumped in with a grin. Chloe's had it rough all her life, cutting her some slack's the decent thing. I set up a camera in a hidden corner of the room. Don't let me down, Chloe and Kevin. After the guests left, my mom praised me for being sensible and gave Chloe the cold shoulder. However, my dad only made some offhand remarks, yet a faint ache lingered in his voice. I was a bit dazed. Dad's a businessman after all, he rarely shows concern for others. But I didn't dwell on it. That night, Kevin actually snuck into Chloe's room. As soon as the door shut, Chloe clung to him and started acting cute. Bro Kevin, what should I do? I totally screwed up today. You think Aunt'll hate me now? How am I supposed to take down Nathan then? Kevin laughed, Mom's big on saving face. Relax, you're a guest, she won't call you out. As for Nathan, I'll nail him in one move. He laid out the entire plan, get Chloe to seduce me and catch me in a compromising position. If the seduction didn't work, they could just fake an angle to film me supposedly assaulting Chloe. I stared coldly at my own brother, racking my brains but still couldn't figure out why he'd do this to me. Until Chloe said, Kevin, once Nathan's kicked out, all the family money's gonna be yours. Don't you dare forget who made it happen, got it? Chloe purred sweetly. You promised to marry me. She smashed her lips against his in a fiery kiss. Like dry wood to fire, the two were all over each other, so gross to watch. I saved the footage but didn't rewatch it. Just wait, you two bastards. This lifetime, watch how I'll ruin you. A week later, school was starting. During dinner, Kevin proposed transferring Chloe into my class. He wanted Chloe to smear my reputation right from the start, so eventually everyone around me would be convinced I'm exactly who he made me out to be, and I'd never clear my name. It was a solid plan. I smiled in agreement, lips twisting with sarcasm. But my class is the accelerated track, Chloe gonna hack it? Yesterday, I ran into a teacher from Chloe's hometown school who said she's been bottom of the class for years, but some do-gooders kept pushing to get her into the city. That's weird. I looked down, watching everyone from the corner of my eye. My mom looked a bit surprised, Kevin seemed nervous, and surprisingly, my dad looked kinda guilty. Isn't Chloe the one Kevin brought to deal with me? Does this have anything to do with my dad? Then Kevin jumped in, what's the big deal? You think she's up to something? It's not about doubting Chloe. Just worried someone's messing with our family, I explained. Nonsense. My dad glared at me. You're still a kid. Why so scheming? Chloe's smart, she'll do just fine in the elite class. But the class is mostly rich kids. Take her shopping tomorrow to get her some decent stuff, don't make us look bad. I nodded. Got it. Chloe wanted to object, but Kevin discreetly nudged her elbow, shutting her right up. Sure enough, the next day while shopping, she kept trying to brush up against me. Every time she picked a piece and the shop assistant said it looked nice, she'd start sniffling, brother wouldn't want me dressed like this. This had the sales associate giving me weird looks. I guess this is how I got the reputation of being a control freak and a creep, huh? I pretended to be uncomfortable and said, sorry, miss. My cousin just moved here from the countryside, so she can't make up her own mind. Alright, wrap up all those clothes she picked. Ugh, this pain. Miss, is there a pharmacy nearby? I'm really not feeling well. Hearing this, the clerk glanced at Chloe uneasily, muttering under her breath. Why is she so fake, she muttered, pointing me toward the pharmacy. I nearly snorted laughing at Chloe's mortified expression as I walked away. I didn't go far. I barely ducked into a corner when Kevin showed up, slapping Chloe's butt like they were some lovesick teenage couple. I held up my phone and snapped their entire interaction crystal clear. Then, I dampened my hair to make it look like I'd rushed back. As soon as I arrived, Chloe strutted out in a tacky designer red dress. She was pretty petite, and that dress was so long it practically swallowed her up. Like a kid in grown-up's clothes. As if that wasn't enough, she had these tacky green crystal heels on her feet. That tacky Barbie pink lipstick nearly killed me. I blinked, thinking about my tragic death in my past life, and finally kept my smirk in check. Chloe, you're tacky on a whole new level. She had on this chunky gold chain from who knows where, looking like some tacky wannabe rich person, and it totally had me cringing. That day, I took Chloe dressed like some tacky rich chick to school. Her over-the-top outfit made people turn their heads, while others snapped photos and posted them on the school's social media page. Just then, a rich second-gen friend strolled over grinning. Chloe rushed forward, fluttering her eyelashes coyly. "Hi, a big bro, but to her surprise, the friend showed no mercy. He pointed at Chloe and guffawed. "Nathan, is this walking fashion disaster next to you straight outta a county fair?" Everyone burst out laughing. Chloe's face flushed red. She shot me a resentful glare, ready to bolt, but under everyone's watchful eyes, she bit her lip with tears glistening. "Brother, you made me wear this outfit, and now you're letting your friends laugh at me? What's that about?" She protested. "Just 'cause we're country girls, do we deserve to be laughed at by you rich folks? Yeah, you've got money, but we've got dignity too. What's so special about your stinking cash anyway? Take off your clothes and necklace." I gave her a cold stare. Hearing this, Chloe choked up. After all, that outfit cost like 100,000 yuan. A friend cut in, "That mall's owned by my family. You really think I don't know who picked those clothes? Think I'm blind?" The shop girl said some tacky rich guy came in grabbing the priciest stuff, and I couldn't believe my eyes when it turned out to be you. Pfft, everyone burst out laughing as Chloe ran off sobbing. I didn't bother with her. She was back in no time. As if nothing had happened, and tried to stick to me. But my friend shoved her aside. With no choice, she sat down in the middle of the class. After that, Chloe shamelessly clung to me like a persistent shadow around school. She moved gently, looking nervous, like I was controlling her and she couldn't get away. I wasn't about to give her a chance to start any drama, so I decided to take a week off instead. During this time, quite a few friends texted me. "You better get back here. Chloe's been talking shit about you in class all day. She says you made her dress like a mess and are giving her the cold shoulder to control her. Now half the school thinks you're some abusive jerk." I didn't bother explaining. It's not time to go back yet. With Chloe working so hard to trash my reputation, if I just shut her down right away, wouldn't that totally disrespect her and Kevin's master plan? Chloe's plan was going smoothly, and she was growing more confident, starting to stir up trouble at home. That day, when our parents came home from work, she immediately started putting on an act. "Uncle and Auntie are back. I'll get the housework done right away." I didn't say a word, but Mom and Dad immediately started scolding me. "Nathan, how can you just sit there watching TV while making your sister handle chores? Is that any way for an older brother to act?" Kevin trailed behind my parents, snickering under his breath. "Yeah, got no home training, huh? You messin' with Chloe?" In my past life, after being scolded, I was forced to help, only for Chloe to accidentally burn my arm with hot water. She told everyone it was a scar from her fighting back when I tried to force her. This time, I stayed put on the sofa. I accidentally caught Chloe on camera while recording the game. She obviously only got up to do the chores when she heard you coming in. Chloe's face looked absolutely awful. The parents, who'd always backed Chloe up, now looked slightly uneasy. Chloe stood there awkwardly. "It's not like that, Just as she was about to lose her act, Kevin frowned and cut in. "Nathan, stop making excuses. Chloe's helping out at home out of kindness, she can start whenever she wants. Quit being so picky." I gave him a curious look and prodded, "Bro, why you always covering for Chloe? Y'all got something going on or what?" Kevin's face stiffened. "Don't be ridiculous, I'm just looking out for my sister." I turned to Chloe and apologized. I was too hasty just now. I didn't mean to come down on you. You're so eager to help, mind ironing my clothes while you're at it? The parents didn't say anything this time, but Chloe was clearly uncomfortable. After all, this was just her scheme to drive a wedge between me and our parents. Actually, she couldn't iron clothes for shit. But everyone was staring at her, and Chloe had no choice but to grit her teeth and head into the walk-in closet. I was glued to the TV outside. A moment later, Chloe screamed. Kevin was the first to bolt over. Chloe clutched her arm and collapsed to the floor. A snaking blister had formed on her wrist. I glanced at the wobbly ironing board and shook my head. If the surface isn't even, the iron's bound to slip off. Chloe was sobbing in pain, and Kevin looked devastated. Get her to the hospital now. What if it scars? Hearing this, Chloe burst into even louder sobs. After getting her treated, the car ride home was painfully awkward. The second we stepped out of the car, Kevin punched me. I didn't dodge, just stared at him with hurt. Bro, why'd you hit me? Kevin pointed his finger in my face and yelled, if you hadn't forced Chloe to do chores, she wouldn't have gotten such a huge scar. He pulled Chloe close behind him, like someone was about to come at her. I turned to my parents. This isn't my fault. Brother's totally playing favorites. My parents hesitated briefly but sighed. Nathan, boys need to step up. Chloe's skin is delicate, and if it's ruined, there's no going back. Kevin's overreacting a bit, but it's understandable. I gave a small smile. Big Bro and Chloe are so close, it's like they've gone beyond regular sibling stuff. Doesn't that make you wonder? If parents play favorites, it can really hurt. Don't just brush off your own kids' feelings. Their faces couldn't hide the embarrassment. Before my parents could even make up excuses, I turned and headed straight into my room. After everything from my past life, I knew these cold-hearted folks cared more about looking good than anyone's hurt feelings. I stopped expecting anything from them. I just spelled things out to give myself some leverage down the road. Soon, they'd get their comeuppance. The next day, I got back to class. With Kevin's help, Chloe quickly settled into our class. As soon as I stepped inside, classmates rushed over to check on her. Chloe, what's wrong with your arm? You said you were gonna have a great weekend when you left on Friday, so how come you're all bandaged up now? Chloe didn't answer, just shot me a nervous glance. No, it's nothing. Just my own carelessness. The looks my classmates gave me shifted right away. A few students Chloe had brainwashed started throwing shade. Nathan's got a real problem with that sponsored girl. Didn't he say he's been treating Chloe like crap all along? Maybe something shady happened to her. Chloe looked hurt. You've got it all wrong. Her explanation just made everything more suspicious. But I wasn't dumb, I could speak up for myself on my own. Chloe, are you putting the blame on me for saying that? You were the one who insisted on ironing clothes for the whole family and told us to relax. I told you over and over, but you kept swearing you had it all under control. Now that something's gone wrong, you're blaming it all on me? Now everyone's got the wrong idea about me. Are you really this shady, trying to kick me out of the Nathan family? I retorted clearly. Seeing how open and honest I was, the class fell silent. Seeing she was losing ground, Chloe broke down right then. Her eyes welled up as she prepared to burst into tears. As the saying goes, whoever tears up first in a fight gets the upper hand. I cut her act short with a loud, fake wail. For the first time ever, my parents yelled at me and my brother hit me. It's all because of your misleading words. Are you trying to destroy me? Men don't cry easily unless they're pushed too hard. Chloe froze, too stunned to react. Right then, my buddies jumped in to stir the pot. Nathan's always been such a good guy, and now they've driven him to tears. Are we sure Chloe isn't the problem? Is she trying to marry into the Nathan family to get their money? Why else would she pull this crap? After a few strategic nudges, even those who had just backed Chloe shut their mouths. I took the chance to make my position clear. Chloe, I know we don't get along, but could you please stop trying to hurt me? I just want to focus on my studies in peace. After that, Chloe kept a low profile for some time. With college entrance exams right around the corner, I threw myself completely into studying, preparing to go for grad school admission like I did in my last life. Seeing me getting better and better, Chloe got all antsy. I don't get this part, Nathan. Can you help me out? Seeing her pitiful look, I stayed cold. She gritted her teeth. I know you might have misunderstood me. I'm sorry, maybe I was in the wrong before. If that's what it takes, I'll get on my knees and apologize. More people crowded around, hungry for the drama. I folded my arms and smirked at her. Be my guest. Chloe didn't expect me to actually agree and froze on the spot. I shook my head. What's done is done, why do you keep bringing it up? Chloe, I really don't get what you want from me, or are you just trying to start drama? If there's no one else around, are you gonna say I'm bullying you again? Chloe's eyes welled up with tears. You've got it all wrong. I just wanted to fix things between us. I'm just a country girl trying to make it in the city, always having to put up with everyone's attitudes. Maybe I'm just too insecure, but if me kneeling down would make you forgive me, then there's nothing I can refuse. Chloe's legs gave out. Just then, an angry shout erupted from outside the door. Kevin stepped in front of me and pulled Chloe behind him. Nathan, seriously, how could you pick on someone like this? If Mom and Dad knew how rotten you are inside, they'd be totally crushed. This time, before I could even speak up, classmates nearby were already standing up for me. How can you curse someone out without even knowing what happened? Come on, he's your own brother. What's your problem? Kevin hesitated, then blurted out, Chloe's family too. Someone in the crowd snickered. What kind of person? Don't tell me she's your missus. Everyone burst into laughter. Furious, Kevin and Chloe started yelling. There was a touch more malice in their eyes. Exactly the same looks as the day I was kicked out of the house. A sudden doubt stirred within me. In my previous life, after they made me give up my grad school spot, I got into a car accident. Was that really just an accident? In the mock exams before the college entrance exam, I aced them and secured the recommendation spot again. The principal announced the news to the entire student body. Chloe stood beside me, her eyes venomous and identical to the previous lifetime. I whipped my head around, startling her as she tried to cover up. The unhealed scar on her arm started oozing pus again. When I got home, before I could even share the news, Chloe suddenly burst into tears. Her voice was heavy with grief, like some tragedy had struck. Kevin was quick to jump in. Chloe, what's wrong? Did someone mess with you? When he said this, his eyes kept shooting glances my way. My parents also looked puzzled. If something's bothering you, just say it. We'll handle things for you. I watched Chloe put on her act without a word. She took a deep breath and suddenly slammed her head toward the wall. What's happening here? My parents jumped in surprise and hurried to pull Chloe away. What's going on? Talk to us. Chloe's face was twisted in grief, and she kept giving me fearful looks, making my parents eye me suspiciously. Dad couldn't hold back from snapping at me a couple of times. Seeing him so protective of Chloe, I suddenly felt puzzled. Why was he so bent on protecting some stranger? I pushed down my discomfort and slapped the admission letter onto the table. My mom took one look and her face lit up. Awesome. Our son got into Tsinghua. My dad's face lit up for a second, but before the joy could settle in, Chloe burst into tears again. What's with the tears over my good news? Chloe wiped her tears, sniffling. You've had top-tier education all these years, getting into Tsinghua is a breeze for you. I've slaved away forever and still can't crack the top 3. My future's totally wrecked. If that's how it's gonna be, I might as well have stayed in some backwater town my whole life. Chloe's words suddenly left everyone speechless. My dad gave a slight cough. Anyway, the letter doesn't have any specifics listed. Might as well let Chloe go. In my past life, he'd spoken those exact same words. Kevin was quick to chime in. Yeah, Nathan's grades are top-notch. He'll do just fine even if he takes the Gaokao. I rolled my eyes. The principal announced this in front of the entire school. You think the rest of us are idiots? Chloe looked at me with a hurt expression. Well, you can go and explain things to the school. You're their walking advertisement anyway, they won't just turn you down. Here we go again with the same old crap. I fired back, you don't even carry the Nathan name. Why the fuck should I care what happens to you? I went back to my room as Chloe's sobs and Dad's angry shouts echoed from outside. After getting the spot, I didn't have to go to school anymore. But to my surprise, Chloe didn't go to school either. She stayed home waiting for me. With the house to ourselves, she finally dropped the act. Nathan, you'd better hand over that spot right now, or else I won't be so nice. See this pregnancy test? If you don't agree, I'll not only tell your parents you forced yourself on me, but I'll also expose you online and make sure you lose everything. At her twisted face, I grinned. Really? What proof do you have? Chloe flipped her hair smugly. You might be acting all calm, but I know you're scared. Let me tell you, I've snapped a bunch of photos lately, the kind that'll bury you for good if they ever come out. Give it up, or else, I cut her off. Suit yourself, but I'm not giving in. Seeing her attempts weren't working, Chloe bit her lip, spat out, "You'll regret this," and stormed off. I quietly watched her walk away. Ever since I found out these two were messing around at home, I made sure they had plenty of alone time together. It wasn't until recently, when Chloe suddenly gagged during dinner, that I knew the moment had come. I gathered her DNA and prepared a surprise for her. I didn't believe my businessman dad would mistreat his own promising son over some country girl. So, I spent some time getting this test done. When I saw the results, my heart was pounding. So that's why. Meanwhile, Chloe and Kevin, convinced they'd pulled it off flawlessly, had long since let their guard down around me. Now they were completely wrapped up in each other, their heads filled with nothing but love all day. I made sure to give them more alone time to keep them distracted. The Gaokao was just around the corner. I didn't back down, so Chloe started squirming. She anxiously dropped hints to Kevin. After dinner, Kevin brought up the guaranteed admission again. Mom, Dad, exams are right around the corner. What's gonna happen to Chloe? I pretended not to hear and made to leave. After a few glances my way, Dad finally spoke up. What's your problem, Nathan? I pointed at the calendar. Tomorrow's my birthday. Let's talk after the party, I'll make sure everyone's happy. Although it wasn't exactly what they expected, Dad didn't push harder after noticing my shift in attitude. I flashed a smile at Chloe, who was clearly on edge. I hope she liked the surprise I had for her. I'm pretty popular, so the birthday party was packed. Chloe put so much effort into her look, like she was the star of the party. Uncle made me dress like this. You're not mad, are you, Nathan? I glanced at her rounded waist, accentuated by the fitted dress, and shook my head. No worries. Just as Chloe lifted her head to smile, I threw in, you've put on a lot of weight lately. Even trying to act like a rich girl, it's still pretty forced. With that, I turned to leave, Chloe grinding her teeth in fury behind me. She really should have dressed up better. After all, today would be her final performance. While cutting the cake, I deliberately called Chloe onto the stage. I've got a big announcement about Chloe, so let's just bring her up here. My dad and Kevin were thrilled and told Chloe to come on up, but she suddenly seemed uneasy, furrowing her brow like she was worried about something. With all eyes on her, Chloe had to step forward. I sliced off a huge chunk of cake and plopped it right in front of Chloe. This is premium animal cream. Try it. Chloe looked pale, clutching the cake with both hands and struggling to keep her composure. But with so many people filming her on their phones, how could she show weakness? After taking a bite, Chloe covered her mouth and gagged. She threw the cake to the floor. The crowd started murmuring. I calmly met her gaze. What's wrong? Isn't this your favorite cake? I picked it specially for your taste. With that, I turned to face the crowd and announced at the top of my lungs, "Don't panic, everyone. Chloe's reacting like this 'cause she's pregnant." Chloe's face turned deathly pale. She hadn't expected me to defy her threats or publicly expose everything. She instantly lunged at me swinging. "Are you out of your mind? You think I won't spill everything right now?" I sidestepped her attack. "What are you trying to expose? Your secret fling with my brother?" Kevin froze when he heard what I said. Before he could respond, my father roared. He grabbed Kevin and started hitting and cursing at him like mad. "You monster! How dare you do this? I'll kill you." The place was a total mess. They knocked over the huge cake. My mom tried to stop them, but it was no use, so she ended up frantically shooing everyone away. But everyone craned their necks, dying to see the show. Who'd listen to her? Besides, there was no way I was letting them off the hook that easily. I grabbed the mic and coughed lightly. Just then, Kevin ducked behind my mom and yelled in panic, "Mom, Dad's totally lost it, he's actually hitting me. We're in love, so why can't we just get married?" I couldn't help but laugh. "Bro, looks like your wish isn't coming true." After that, I threw the investigative materials on the projector. The genetic test results were revealed to everyone. I took my time explaining. "Here's the DNA test result for Chloe and my dad, they share 99% biological relation." Everyone was stunned. In other words, Chloe is the Nathan family's biological daughter, so you two can't get married. Chloe never dreamed that the rich dad and wealthy husband she wanted would turn out to be the same family. Now, Kevin completely lost his composure. He yelled at the top of his lungs, "This is all Nathan's setup. He's the one who went after Chloe. I've got proof, right here, right now." I sent him flying with a kick and pulled out all the evidence I'd been gathering these months. "Compared to your forced perspective shots, this is way more real." As the screen displayed their passionate kiss, my mom shrieked, snatched the cake knife, and lunged at my dad. The scene was total chaos. Kevin stood there in a daze, as if he'd lost all his strength and any will to fight. Chloe clutched her stomach, laughing through tears like a total lunatic. "Haha, so I'm actually a rich man's daughter. No more jealousy for me." Kevin twitched his fingers and clutched his head in agony. "No, none of this is real. It's all a setup." Chloe's face twisted. She charged at him and screamed, "Don't think you'll get off this easy. After everything I've been through, you owe me big time." I watched the whole mess coldly, sneering to myself. My mom was clutching a knife, her eyes bloodshot as she screamed at my dad. "You bastard! How could you cheat? How dare you do this to me? How dare you bring your bastard daughter home? After everything I've done for her, this is disgusting." Listening to her anguished howls, I cocked my head slightly. Maybe Mom didn't care about my feelings, she was just scared her husband had betrayed her. They tore into each other like rabid dogs for a while. During the tussle between Kevin and Chloe, he accidentally shoved her down the stairs. Bright red blood soaked the entire floor. Chloe was rushed to the hospital in critical condition, and Kevin got arrested for assault. The baby didn't make it in the end. After that, the party was over. My mom and dad had a huge fight, and my dad slammed the door on his way out. What man can say he's never messed up in his life? "I've admitted my mistakes, why do you still keep harping on it?" My mom sat in the living room, heartbroken and sobbing uncontrollably. She looked at me expectantly. "Nathan, you're my last hope. You won't leave me, right?" I stayed silent. When she was pulling all those unfair stunts, it never crossed her mind that I'd be her rock someday. What right does she have to ask me to stay? My mom frowned, about to chew me out when her phone buzzed. After hanging up, she passed out cold. It took me ages to get her to the hospital. The doctor said she was out cold. At my insistence, they went ahead with the surgery. I stood at the ICU entrance, the three Nathans lying neatly lined up inside. The call was straightforward. When Chloe woke up and found out she'd been disfigured in the fall, she blamed it all on my dad for not telling her the truth. She was waiting outside my house in her car. The moment she saw my dad step out, she slammed the accelerator and plowed straight into him. Just like she did in my past life, she ran him over. The whole summer after Gaokao, I was stuck at the hospital with them. Chloe died after crashing into the wall when her tires skidded. One parent was paralyzed, the other in a vegetative state. I arranged for them to live together, glaring daggers at each other all day long. And so, the Nathan family was basically broken apart. I took over the entire family fortune, set aside some retirement money for my parents, and got ready to start at Tsinghua. Before leaving, I went to see Kevin in prison. He was no longer the dashing young heir of the Nathan family, now sporting a buzz cut, gaunt and shriveled, looking a decade older. I looked at him and casually said, "Kevin, are you Mom's love child? How else could you treat your own brother so viciously? Did you plan the car accident in my previous life?" Somehow, my words set him off. He stared at me with eyes wide, his whole body trembling as he yelled, "There's a ghost," clawing at his face like a madman until guards hurried over and hauled him away. I turned and walked away. Stepping out of the prison gates, my footsteps felt light as air. In this life, I won it all. With Kevin out of his mind, I didn't have to worry about payback anymore. From now on, all I need is to live my life with the German Shepherd. Hesidian slumped to the ground. After a long moment, she suddenly burst into tears and lunged forward, clutching her mother's pants. "Mom, I lost my mind for a second. Why'd you tell everyone I'm not your real daughter? He dumped me without even talking it through. I'm still your kid. Why were you acting like you hate me now? I'm your daughter too. Why'd you stop loving me out of nowhere? I just wanted you to treat me like before. I never wanted the family money, it was all Chen Xiaowen. He kept egging me on, saying I'd get kicked out someday 'cause I'm not blood related if I didn't do this." Chen Xiaowen, trembling nearby, suddenly lunged up and slapped Hesidian. "You slut. You came on to me first. Said your aunt and uncle found their real kid, wanted to off them so you wouldn't end up penniless." The vile insult sparked a tussle between Hesidian and him. But soon, police officers who'd been waiting outside burst through the door. Mom linked arms with me, her smile now tinged with relief. "We're missing a family photo. Let's go, I've got a photographer booked." My adoptive mother didn't plead for Hesidian, she just gripped Mom's hand guiltily. "I've got no right to face you." Mom hugged her, "I can't face you either. I failed to raise her right, spoiled her rotten. I just don't know how to make things right with you." My adoptive mother said everyone's got their own path, you can't blame others. As I was walking her out, she grabbed my hand anxiously and asked, "Will she get the death penalty?" I didn't know what to say, so I just reassured her we'd get Hesidian a decent lawyer. My adoptive mother waved her hand off, "Don't get involved, don't put yourself on the spot." She left. When she found out Mom was treating me well now, she actually looked relieved. Everything seemed to settle back into peace, and Mom ended up staying with me nearby for a few months. I don't know if it was a slip of the tongue or what, but she said when I brought her here back then, she had to stay in the cheapest basement. I was so scared things would go back to how they were, that's why I got this place for you way ahead of time. Hesidian might be locked up for a very long time. Though Chen Xiaowen tried desperately to wiggle out of it, the evidence left no room for his bullshit. Many years later, Mom had grown too old to move about much. She stroked my palm and whispered, "Chunyu, that wasn't a dream. Mom got a second chance. Thankfully, this time I didn't push you away. I just wish it happened sooner, right from your birth. I would have done everything to love and cherish you, to spare you all that pain."